This is my next level Yu-Gi-Oh ebook. It's my new ebook for the card game Yu-Gi-Oh. It's not really a how-to book like the first book was, where it's like how to do this, how to do that. Um, what taxes you should use and whatnot. There is a lot of insight in this book. It's more of an insight. It's more of like, all right, this is the way you should view the game. This is how you should play the game, for the best optimal outcome. You want to have a mindset to win. There's different parts in the book. One is how to always win, and there's two parts to that actually. How to always win, and then how to always win part 2. Because of course I had a lot to say about that, like how to always win. There's people who want to always win, but you have to have the mindset for on winning. How are you going to always win if you don't always have the mindset for it? There's times where I see somebody who should have won a duel, but because they were acting all like, it doesn't matter, I'm bored, I got nothing better to do, and because of that, they ended up losing when they could have won. And then they complain later that, that they lost, or they lost one duel, which made sense. Their opponent was playing real good. But then the next duel, they acted like they didn't want to duel, but it was their idea to duel. So they're dueling, and then they're complaining they're not drawing consistent hands, and so forth and so forth. So they are self-defeating themselves. They're putting themselves in a mindset of like, I'm going to lose, I'm losing, it doesn't matter. Why me? It's more of like, hey, why is me? Type of mindset. Like, why is bad things happening to me? Why am I not winning? This and that. And it's like, but it's because you are putting yourself in that mindset. You're not focusing on the duel. You're not paying attention. You're activating cards at the wrong time. Of course you're going to lose because you're not even playing the game. You're too busy thinking about the end result. The fact that you're not winning. The fact that you lost the first duel and you're dwelling on it. That's the thing. You're thinking about the fact that you lost so much. You're thinking about losing that you end up losing. That's what happens. You think Michael Jordan thinks about losing when he plays basketball? No, he's thinking about winning. He's thinking about what he can do to help out his team win. That's why he practices. That's why practice makes perfect. Right? That's why we play test. That's why we balance our decks with ratios and upgrade our decks and change certain aspects of our decks to improve because we want to win. You don't change the deck because you want to lose. That makes no sense. You don't change the deck because you're just bored, so you change the deck, but without even thinking, oh, let me change it so I can win. No one thinks, oh, let me change it so I can lose. That don't make no sense. Then there's no point in playing the game. Might as well do something else if you're bored. Because think about it, if you're bored, then play the game. Play the game the right way. That way you're not bored. Playing the game should not be boring. It makes no sense to play a game, but you're bored. And it's like, that don't make sense. The whole point of playing the game is because you are bored. Because you have nothing else to entertain yourself with. You have nothing else to do. It's not like you gotta go to work or you got some chore to do. You know what I mean? You're bored. There's nothing entertaining you. There's nothing stimulating your mind. So you play a game in order to stimulate your mind, in order to give you something to do. So play the game if you're bored. It makes no sense to play a game and be like, oh, I'm bored. Like, what? You can't be bored. You're playing the game. If you play the game properly, of course you wouldn't be bored. So if you're bored, that's your fault. You're making the scenario boring. You're making the game boring by being boring. Instead of actually trying to play the game, since you're not playing the game, of course it's going to be boring because you're not even playing it. You're not even trying to be there. So anyway, there's other aspects to the book. Predicting cards. There's philosophy methods in here. I share my experience and my master level tactics for playing the game. Now, of course, master level, pro level, these are debatable. People can argue like, no, you're not a pro, you're not a master, It's like to each their own. You know what I mean? Haters are gonna hate, right? But in all reality, it's like information is information. And if I spend a lot of time working on something, practicing, improving, understanding, at some point you're gonna become a master of some sort, or at least an expert. To me, master is not that different from an expert. It's a master is more obsessed. It's like an expert that's obsessed, basically. It's somebody who wanted to know everything they could know about something, so they overdid it, and now they are a master of something. Because that thing they mastered became part of their life, so therefore they became a master. Same thing as a pro or professional player, right? It's something that becomes part of their life. So being a professional Yu-Gi-Oh player, that means Yu-Gi-Oh is part of your life. And Yu-Gi-Oh's been part of my life for a long, long time. Since 2002. So all my knowledge and experience that I've gained over the years of playing the game, of winning the game. You do lose. You do learn from losing, of course. But you also learn from winning. But you learn more from losing, interesting enough. See, that's what experience teaches you. You do learn more from losing. Because a lot of the reasons you win is because somebody else did something wrong, and that cost them to do. They didn't draw good. This game is a random numbered game, right? You shuffle your deck, and it's supposed to be, whatever you draw is supposed to be random, and you play however way you can. You're trying to reduce the randomness of the cards you draw and the cards you play by how you play, by playing search cards, playing draw cards. You're trying to decrease luck. You're trying to decrease randomness. You're trying to increase consistency, because consistency is the opposite of random, right? So that's the whole point. You don't want a random hand. You want a consistent hand. You want what you want, not what you don't want, right? So you gotta get good at the game. You gotta master it, right? It's not enough just to go online, see a deck profile video online, and just be like, all right, let me copy that deck card for card, and there we go, and that's it. Now I'm a master at the game. Now I'm the king of games. I'm the best player ever to exist. Like, no. There's a lot that it takes to become a really good player. And interesting enough, it's not just winning tournaments, because that's just one aspect. That's one achievement you can have. That's one of the many things you can do in this game to be good at the game, right? You go to tournaments, you win, a lot of your duels at tournaments, so you get a pretty high ranking, which is good. But it's not the main thing that determines who you are as a player. There's a lot of great players that don't play in tournaments. There's a lot of players who are better than the players who actually play at tournaments that don't go to tournaments. They play online. They play against their friends, or they play against these so-called pro players, right? They play against these people who do go to tournaments, but they themselves don't go to tournaments. But they do play competitively. Like, they do play against competitive players. They do play against, the top tier decks and whatnot. Not only do they play against, they also play these cards themselves in some shape, way, or form, whether it's through proxying, Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro, some type of online simulator, or they actually have the cards themselves, or they borrow the cards. In some shape, way, or form, they're going to play the game. They're going to really be good at it, and there's people that are really, really good that don't play competitively, because they rather spend their money playing the game with their friends, with people they know and like, or it's just, the times that the events, like tournaments, are hosted, it's not the best time for them. It's times where they can't go. I know a couple of my friends wanted to go to a couple of regionals, but they couldn't because they had to go to work. So it's not like they were not good players. No, it's just they had to go to work. They had shit to do. They couldn't stop what they were doing to go to a tournament. It was just another place they can play Yu-Gi-Oh! They can play Yu-Gi-Oh! At home. They can play Yu-Gi-Oh! At my house. They could play Yu-Gi-Oh! At somebody else's house. They can go to our locals, to a card shop, and play. They don't have to go to a tournament in order to play and to be good. The game is the game. no matter where you put the game is still going to be the game. I don't have to go to a tournament to prove that I'm good at the game. I can just play the game. I could put a camera up and record me playing against a whole bunch of people. And you'll get to see me play, right? That's an example. It's like, I don't have to go to tournaments to be good. But I have been to a couple. And I want to go to more. And I definitely want to go there with all my power at the ready, as it were. I want to go there and show some people how I play. But until then, you guys can play, right? You guys can go to these tournaments, use these tactics from my first book and this book, and win. You know, I don't have to use these tactics myself to win events. Other people can use these tactics too. You know, it's knowledge, it's experience. It's like the old saying, you know, those who don't do, they teach. You know, you think your math teacher doesn't know math. Clearly, your math teacher knows math, right? They chose to teach it, right? So they got to know math to teach it. But just because they're not like a rocket scientist or some type of, some type of profession that requires knowledge in math for you to, you know, solve problems or make a lot of money, like stock market or something. Just because your math teacher ain't doing that doesn't mean he doesn't know a little something about that. He could have a lot of experience in the stock market. He could have a lot of experience in, you know, in some form of advanced math, like quantum physics, calculus, or something like that. But they're teaching you the basics, right? They're teaching you 2 + 2 is 4, right? Or they're teaching you whatever lessons they're teaching you, because they're teaching you the basics. Does not mean they don't know the advanced. Same goes for me. It's like I got YouTube channel. I got 2 eBooks to share my knowledge, my experience from the years of playing. You know, whether you think I'm a good player or not, what I have to say is still valid. You know what I mean? Because assuming I'm good or assuming I'm bad, that's a personal opinion. You know what I mean? Facts are facts. Until you have proof that I'm good or proof that I'm bad, you know, everything's just going to be assumption. It's going to be an opinion, and opinions aren't facts. They're just a point of view. They're just what you think is true or should be true, but isn't. You know, I could think that the sky, you know, should be yellow, but doesn't mean it is yellow. Doesn't mean it's going to be yellow just because I want it to be yellow or because I think it will look better if it was yellow instead of blue. Like, no. An opinion is an opinion. My opinion is my opinion. It's what I think or what I believe. But does not mean everyone else has to think or believe the same. But when it comes to facts, when it comes to experience, it can be tested. It can be proven. That's the thing about facts and experience, right? The books that I've written so far, these 2 books I've written so far, shares facts and my personal experience. You know, I tell you how I do this, how I do that. What, you know, I was in a scenario where this happened. I was in a scenario where that happened. You know, from my personal experience of dueling a lot, I notice people act a certain way. People do things a certain way. And because of that, that improved me as a player. Because now I'm paying attention to body language and so on and so on. You know, I'm paying attention to how people act. That gives me information. That information is as good. It's almost like having psychic abilities. It's like, oh, I know this person has mirror force. Or I know this person doesn't have a monster yet. And he's only drawing spells and traps because of the way he's acting, the way he's behaving. Sometimes people just flat out tell you, shit, I got no monsters. Well, thank you for telling me that. That's going to make it so much easier for me to win. You know? Like, don't tell me that. Plus, it's fun for me to figure it out on my own. You didn't have to tell me. But thanks for telling me anyway. I'm going to use that knowledge, right? And that happens a lot. Sometimes people say things they shouldn't say. And that gives you information that typically you're not supposed to have, but now you have it. Now you can use it to your advantage. So again, this book is about experience. My experience in the game. Now, granted, I do pay attention to other players, how other people play the game and whatnot. And I learn from their experience as well, you know what I mean? Learn from other people's mistakes as it goes. So I learn from seeing other people making mistakes, so I don't make the same mistakes. That way, I don't have to learn it the hard way. I don't have to make the mistake myself 2, 3, 4, 5 times before I get it like into my head. Like, oh, why do I keep making a mistake? Obviously, I pay attention. I'm a pretty quick learner, so I try to make less mistakes. I try not to make the same mistake twice at least. You know what I mean? It makes no sense to do something wrong more than once, especially if you just realize it was wrong. Once you realize it's wrong, like, oh, okay, that was the wrong decision to make. All right, you should not make it again. You're supposed to learn. That's part of being human anyway. You're supposed to learn from your mistakes. But it's helpful and it's beneficial to pay attention to what everybody else does and learn from their mistakes. But don't assume that everything everybody else does is 100% correct, right? Assume that everything you see out there is half true. It's half correct, right? So if I say play a certain way, all right, don't just flat out play that certain way. You know what I mean? Try it out though. Think about it. Like, should I play that way? Is that the best strategy? That's the best tactic to play this game? Should I play that way? Or should I play differently? Or should I play a variant of that? That's the thing. Variance of experience is something you should do. If I make a deck profile on how to do an OTK with some combination of the cards, definitely give it a try. It worked for me. It's the only reason I'm sharing it. I'm sharing with you my results. I'm not the end all be all of everything. My deck profile of how to OTK, my OTK deck profile of something, like let's say OTK Quasar. I come up with a 3-card combo to OTK with, to summon Quasar and OTK. It's like, all right, it's a concept I had. I tested it out. I balanced out the deck as best as possible from dueling a lot. I try to do at least 10 or more times to try to, balance the deck out, keep the deck consistent. And if I win pretty much most of the time using Quasar, specifically using Quasar, because a win is a win. If I duel 10 times and win 10 times, man, that's cool and all, but if only 2 times was with Quasar, the deck is not as consistent as it should have been. So of course I have to tweak the deck and make it more consistent. Because a win is a win, you know what I mean, right? But if you created a OTK deck, you're supposed to win because of the OTK. Not win because your opponent was terrible, or win because they drew bad, or win because, you played other tactics. You played a different way. You synchro for one monster, and then you just kept attacking with that one monster and using your spells and traps to defend that one monster, and kept attacking your opponent until he lost. It's like, well, that's just basic Yu-Gi-Oh tactics. That's just basic Yu-Gi-Oh. You know what I mean? But if the whole goal was to make Quasar a win, and that was supposed to be a win condition, the fact you're winning other ways is like, not doing what I'm supposed to be doing, which is winning by the win condition. It's like making an Exodia deck, yet you keep winning by attacking with like a Sangan or something. Or you summon Torgai, bring out Sangan, right? Overlay. Create Acid Golem or some type of rank 2 monster. And just keep attacking with that rank 2 monster. I mean rank 3. Rank 3 monster. It's like, yeah, it's not really an Exodia deck. I could have built any deck that creates that rank 3 and win with it. I'm better off focusing on making a rank 3 deck that specifically summons that monster if I win with it a lot. It's like if you make a Heretic deck or some type of light and dark spellcaster deck or something, right? But the way you typically wins with Blackluster Soldier Envoy at the beginning, then it's like you're better off just making any light and dark deck that summons Blackluster Soldier specifically, and just have that as your win condition. If you win with him a lot, he might as well be the name of the deck. He should be what you be playing. Don't say you're playing Chaos Zombie Kaiju or some weird, variant or hybrid, and the main way you win is by summoning Blackluster Soldiers. Like then you don't need all that extra stuff. You definitely don't need the Kaijus. They were no help. They're good cards nonetheless, but I'm saying they were no help in that strategy. If you keep winning with Blackluster Soldier by removing Light and Dark, you're better off just playing, Ghost Ogres, Veilers, Burning Abyss or something. Like, you're better off playing some type of light or dark, attribute decks that have some really good abilities. Cosmos, for example. You can play Cosmos and then throw BLS in there, and it'd be Blackluster Soldier Cosmos or something, because they have some light and darks in there, you know. And you could do some stuff to try to get light and darks in the graveyard, and then throw in BLS. However way you want. I'm just saying it's like you have to focus on the win condition. If you don't focus on the win condition, then it was pointless to even have the deck. If you can win without the main win condition of your deck consistently, then you're better off just creating a generic deck that you can win consistently with just a generic strategy. You didn't need the Quasar combo. That's just actually a waste of space. It's still a good combo, you know, if you pull it off. That's the whole point. Once you get the cards necessary to pull off the 2-card or 3-card Quasar OTK, that's cool. That's a nice little trick, little gimmick, but if you don't do it 99% of the time, it's not necessary. It's a win more strategy than the winning strategy, right? Because it's just some other way you can win, but you never really needed it. So then it defeats the purpose of spending time and money getting those cards to try to win with Quasar when you never needed to Quasar to win, because Quasar is not your win condition. But always make sure whatever is your win condition, that's your main focus. That's your win condition. If your win condition is True Draco Masterpiece, then you need to make sure you can always summon it. You can always win with it. It needs to always be the reason you win. If not, then it doesn't even matter what it doesn't matter. You didn't need Masterpiece. You didn't need to spend the money you spent on Masterpiece if you can win without it. I definitely try to look to see if I can win without some expensive strategy or some particular card. You know, sometimes I try certain cards, like, oh, let me try Dark Arm Dragon in this Dark Attribute deck. You know what? I really don't need it. It doesn't work too well. One, I don't draw it as consistent as much. I don't really need its effect. Everything else in the deck works just fine. My own experience coupled with the effects in my deck, and the fact that I have the experience to use these effects in my decks properly and skillfully, I don't need the Dark Arm. It's just some fluff. It's just icing on the cake. You know? So there's no need for Dark Arm, right? In a scenario like that, it's just taking up space. I could put in something a little bit more useful, a little bit more like a Dark Hole or something, right? Some type of board break, some type of board wipe card, right? Or just some more search, like a 1-day piece, or maybe a Soul Charge as a turnaround card, like a comeback card. You know, it's like, oh, you wipe my board, my turn, draw. Oh, I tap that Soul Charge, I can make a comeback. You know, comeback card. So I like to typically put Soul Charge in a lot of my decks because it makes it a good comeback card. You know, especially when Exciton was a thing. Your opponent's like, Exciton, wipe your board. It's like, okay, you know, I do something, kill your Exciton. In the next couple turns, hopefully I draw a Soul Charge. Once I just draw the Soul Charge, I can play it, bring back some cards onto the field, you know, bring back some monsters, and, you know, reestablish my board after it was board wiped. And that's the end of the video for now.